Welcome to the Jenks and the Hammer podcast. Bringing you the latest NFL news and insights from the perspectives of two die-hard fans. So sit back, relax, and get ready for some football talk with Jenks and the Hammer.
And here we go!
All right, guys, getting right into our special segment with a guy that we were both teammates with. Lucky to call ourselves teammates with this guy. Also was a coach for
Coach too.
A semester or whatever semester of Coach Magee. A guy that's in our fantasy league as well, and the only Broncos fan I know personally. Ty Magee, welcome in. Welcome to the pod. Let me get that settled out.
How's it going, fellas?
There we
Thanks for having me on.
What's up,
Yeah.
Ty? How you doing, man?
Be in the house.
Yeah, so this guy Ty, Broncos fan, unapologetically, I think you support all Denver teams, right?
Yeah, all Denver teams.
Which is hilarious to me because, it's loyalty. They've been kind of the Nuggets.
Yeah, it's paid off.
Nuggets been good.
The Rockies too. The Rockies are in a little bit of a rough spell.
Yeah.
But then the Broncos, the past season, for everyone who didn't watch NFL, biggest disappointment of the year, I think, around the league. Have to be, right? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, just with all the hype of Russ and the hype that we saw, with the last time when we got a quarterback of his stature with Payton, I think there was a lot of high hopes, and by far the biggest letdown.
So, as an unapologetic Broncos fan, I want to know your story. Like, how'd you become a Broncos fan as a guy? Because did you grow up in Pennsylvania or on this side of the country, or were you kind of all around? What's the story?
Yeah, so I'm a PA guy, but my dad is actually from Denver, so I just grew up, watching all Denver sports teams, and I remember as a kid watching Jay Cutler and Brandon Marshall, and that
Jay
game.
Cutler, baby.
Yeah. Josh McDaniels ruined that, traded those guys away, so it kind of just grew up around Denver sports, and so naturally kind of fell into that fandom.
Well, how old were you when Peyton Manning came over and you got to witness that?
2013.
Yeah, 2013. So I was in middle school, 13 years old. So that was 7th grade into sophomore year of high school, and that's the best time.
The glory days, yeah.
That's
glory days for you.
Glory days. Demaryius
sure.
Thomas and all them. Yeah. So speaking about last season, right? Rough season for the Broncos. A big reason why I was the coach, right? Nathaniel Hackett, now offensive coordinator for the Jets. So in your opinion, as a diehard Broncos fan, what kind of went wrong last season with Hackett as a head coach?
Yeah, I think the guy was very inexperienced. Obviously, this first-time head coach job, I think, just reading around, he hadn't really called plays that much. In Green Bay, it was more of Matt LaFleur. So I think he just wasn't prepared at all for the job. And I think he kind of put Russ in positions that Russ hadn't been in the past. He was kind of calling plays like he was still calling for Aaron Rodgers almost. And, it wasn't what fit our players. It was what fit what he knew. And so I think a lot of that kind of went into it. And he was just so overwhelmed. You see the stuff with, counting down the clock, and you had to get a game manager. Yeah. So all of that kind of stuff just compiled, onto each other. And
it's tough for Hackett because like you said, he wasn't even calling the plays in Green Bay. I know I'm a Green Bay fan, right? He was the OC, but LaFleur was calling the plays. Hackett he was the red zone guy. So, when we got into the red zone, he took control, but it's really a big leap from being kind of an OC to really, focusing on red zone and then going, from that to head coach. You're the leader of this organization, it's a big leap. So yeah, I could see why he struggled a little bit. So, and what do you think about those comments? Your new leader, Sean Payton, about Nathaniel Hackett.
Listen, I think I liked it because it kind of fired me up as a fan, and I was because he hadn't really said anything about the whole situation, and everyone was kind of a little ticked off about last year. So I don't think it was for the fans. I think it was more show support for his guys, and I think the media kind of just blew it out of proportion. And obviously the Jets getting a lot of coverage with Hard Knocks, and so it kind of blew up to this big thing. And what is he just supposed to do? Dance around the bush? Everyone knows, all the media was saying all year long, oh, this guy's over his head. He's doing a bad coaching job. possibly the worst of all time. So he wasn't saying anything that anyone didn't know. And,
Yeah.
this coach's code and all that stuff. I mean, Hackett broke the coach's code by just being bad. So, it was, I liked it.
Yeah. So him coming in.
The one bad thing is you got 12 mad, or number 8 now. You got him mad. So I don't know. We'll see come week 5, week 6 when you guys play. Whenever you guys play,
always finding a way to suck him off a little bit.
Listen, I'm
just saying that's someone you don't want to get mad.
I know, yeah, and 100%. I mean, week 5 rolled around. We're in Denver though, so Mile High's gonna be rocking.
Denver.
The defense is on fire. The big concern is just going to be how does the offense roll. So I'm not concerned about it that much. I know you love him hammered.
Yeah, that's what I was about to ask. Is with Hackett coming in last year, you also had Russell Wilson coming in on a major trade, and I think a major contract as well. Like they shelled out money into him, everything like that. Everyone was hype, and then he had that disappointing season last year. With Sean Payton now coming over, do you think Russ bounces back? What do you think Russ's stats lines are like? Everything like that.
Yeah, I think we've definitely seen the best of Russ in his Seattle days. I don't think he's ever going to be that comfortable again. I think the big thing that Sean's going to do is, take the load off his shoulders. I think Javonte Williams coming back is going to have a huge role. He was obviously very good before the injury. Samaje Perine coming over, he was a pretty big, role player for Cincy last year. So I think guys like that, toting the rock a lot. I mean, we added, Ben Powers and Mike McGlinchey too. So we're going to run the ball a lot. And I think just the quick game will be a big thing. Cortland Sutton was a lot of the Michael Thomas film from 2019. So I think, we've probably seen the best of Russ. I think he'll definitely bounce back from what he was last year, just simply because he won't, so much won't be on his shoulders. Last year even too, like I talked about, Javonte was hurt. There were so many guys that were hurt, his O-line, his receivers. So we're not getting off to a good start with our receiver room already with Patrick and Judy, but I think
Judy.
It's tough, but Judy will be back, and I think the run game will be the huge thing. And I think he'll have a good year. I think he'll cut down on the interceptions. Have a little bit more touchdowns. Hopefully, more touchdowns than he has bathrooms. Sick of hearing that chirp. So, but I think the yards will be up too. Even so, even though he's going to not have as much on him, I think everything will come so much smoother and easier to him. And, you hear the buzz in the practice, all the good stuff. He's been all right in the preseason, but I just think the offense is going to be, light years different than it was last year.
Would you say over under 4,000 yards passing? You think he hits that? Or you think he's a little bit under? What do you think?
I think in all likelihood, he's probably hovering a little bit under that, but I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that he can hit that or over. I think, 4,500, if you said that, I'd say, I don't think he's going to be up there with the top and, competing for an MVP spot, but I think 4,000 isn't like totally out of the picture. And then, hopefully at least 20 touchdowns.
Yeah. So with all that being said, right, you said, you got a lot of guys coming back from injury. You signed a lot of guys in the offseason, kind of revamped that offensive line. So with all that being said, you got Russell, Super Bowl winning QB. With all that being said, now you got Sean Payton, coming in, leading this organization now. Like, what do you think how much change do you think he's going to have? Like, how much of an impact? And, do you think he could win probably, Coach of the Year? Really change his team around?
Yeah, I think, if this team makes a playoff run or even just gets into the playoffs, he's definitely in the conversation of Coach of the Year. I mean, the media painted last year's job as one of the worst of all time. And then if he comes in and kind of turns things around, he's definitely in the running for Coach of the Year. And I think he's going to have massive change on just the organization and the culture. Like you've already seen, guys kind of just talking about how things are different from last year. And, he's just holding people more accountable, stuff on the sidelines in the preseason game. He's just running so much of a tighter operation than there was last year. And I think, we could maybe see this team just looking through the schedule and maybe win, 10, 11 games. I think the floor is probably 7 just because it's a Sean Payton-led team. We've seen this guy,
7.
In New Orleans win so many games with Taysom Hill and Jameis Winston. And I think, Russ at his worst is better than Jameis at his worst. I mean, you saw that 30-30 season. So, I think he comes in and we're at least a 500 team. And that's not, what Denver fans are probably going to want to hear. They're going to want to hear, we're making a playoff run. But from last year, I mean, anything is better because it was just
It's a process.
And
Baby steps.
And you're also in a very tough division and AFC as well. So like you got to keep it a little bit humble. Like you got to keep your minds a little bit straight. But
yeah, and that's my mindset going into this season. Like trying not
Yeah.
to build up the expectation. Be humble and think, okay, maybe 9 wins. Because last year's coming in, this is a Super Bowl team, so you never know. But
yeah, and I like that you brought up that's slight improvement. Because one thing I'll say real quick is the Giants were 4-13 2 years ago, and they went 9-7-1 last year, and Brian Dable came in and won Coach of the Year. So a guy like Sean Payton, if he comes in, wins 9 games, 8-9 games, maybe 10 tops, I think that's easily puts him in conversation 100%.
Yeah, I mean 9 wins, maybe that sneaks you into that 7th playoff spot, that last wild card spot, because the AFC is going to be tough, but those teams are going to be playing each other, so they're going to beat each other, and so maybe if we can get to 9 wins, that'd be great. And like you said, Sean Payton, Coach of the Year, I'd love that. So we'll see.
So in your mind, that's the goal this season, like kind of 8-9 wins, and then Russell playing good. Like that's like if that happens, right? You probably don't make the playoffs, but like that happens, you're like happy, like it's a good year. You would say for yourself, for Broncos fans.
I think a wild card spot, I would be like, that's a good year in comparison to last year. I want to definitely make the playoffs, but if Russ plays well, 9 wins, get in the playoffs, I think that's a good season. Just because there was so much change over the last year that I can't expect them, to win 10, 11 games. Just because we're fixing things obviously, but things don't change overnight. So it's going to take some time to fix the culture and for guys to just get on board with what Sean Payton and Vance Joseph are kind of bringing in. So
I like it. I like it. A lot of ambition for the Broncos going into the season, and I'm excited to see what they do. Ty Magee, everyone. We'll likely see more of Ty Magee throughout the season. Hopefully, we might have him back on where the Broncos start doing a lot of Sean Payton.
Hey, week 7, Packers Broncos in Denver.
Yeah, so maybe we'll be talking about that. And we were also in a fantasy league with Ty, our big fantasy league. Ty's a member of that, so we might have him on discussing that.
If that ever gets going.
Yeah, our commissioner,
if it happens,
Commissioner Ned, who's in our most viewed video on our YouTube channel, is a terrible commissioner. He's failing the league right now. So if anyone has watched that video,
if Ned keeps messing up, I'll step in as commissioner. Let's get some of the viewers pushing me over Ned.
Impeach
comment
Ned.
below.
Impeach Ned.
Yeah, comment below. Impeach Ned.
Yeah, I mean, it's always a great time having you on, Ty. First time coming on. Hopefully we see it more for the fans and everything like that. So thank you for coming on and answering all our questions.
Yeah, guys, thanks for having me on. Hope to get back on and hopefully be a happy Broncos fan this year. So
only time will tell. We'll see.
We'll see. Not week 7.
Thank you for tuning in to the Jenks and the Hammer podcast. Remember to leave a review and follow all of our social media pages at Jenks Hammer Pod for more content. Until next time, who dat and go Pack Go!